Hello, greetings, and welcome back if you are returning. I thought I would change up the scenery and make a video from another angle in the same room. I was getting the nudge yesterday to make a video, and I waited until today because for some reason I was feeling like it still needed to percolate a little more. But this topic is about self-healing and some of the layers of self-healing that have really come to light for me most recently. And the first one, which I'm fairly sure that most of us can relate to, is escaping. So depending on the trauma or the pain or whatever it was that you experienced, depending on when it happened in your life, the severity of it, the support that you had, the tools that you had access to, it may have been just way too scary to go there. And so our natural way of coping is to escape from it. So rather than to heal it, to avoid feeling it. And in my humble opinion, this is where the massive amounts of dependency is coming from right now, and not just from the pain medication situation with pharmaceutical companies, but also things like social media, distracting ourselves with other forms of pleasure. And that may be substance use, that might be food. There can be lots of different ways, relationships, serial monogamy, I think they call it. There's so many different terms out there now. But there can be all these different ways that we are escaping our experience in order to avoid the pain and replace it with simulation of pleasure. And what's interesting about that is it might serve us for a period of time, but then there comes a time when it isn't enough to override or to keep us out of that experience, and the pain starts to surface. And then what do? Because we might have already exhausted all of the options that keep us out of that state of pain and bring us to a state of pleasure, and nothing has actually resolved or healed. So from escaping, a lot of us move into this space of facing. And facing what's happening is really basic, even just being aware of the idea that something happened to us that was abnormal and that it caused pain. That we experienced a traumatic event, which are very common. Most of us have had that experience, although they may be varied in the levels of severity and the frequency of them. Most humans have experienced traumatic events. And our bodies have the innate ability to heal from them. And yet, a lot of us were taught to handle it in ways that are actually counterintuitive to what our body's natural system is capable of. So ways of facing it may be through self-awareness practices. It may be through, seeking actual counseling or trauma therapies. It might be through things like journaling, or there's lots of different ways that we can start to face what happened in our past to bring it to light so that we can, which is the next stage, embrace it as part of our journey and what we benefit from in having experienced that. So, as ridiculous as that may sound, because trauma obviously is something that we would rather avoid experiencing, it actually teaches us something, and it brings something to life in us that would not exist had that experience not happened. And what's interesting to me is the people I know who have experienced the most trauma have also made the most impact in the lives of other people, because they have so much experience with it that they take a stance. They stand up and they speak out for a specific cause because they deeply understand what those experiences feel like. They've had the courage to heal through it, and they have a deep inner desire to help other people who have had similar experience, and also to stop the cycle of trauma so that more people are able to stay away from those types of experiences, and not to avoid them, but to literally stop them at the source. Yeah. And so what I think is beautiful about trauma is it reminds us of our humanity. It reminds us of our capacity to heal. It reminds us of just how amazingly powerful these bodies are. And when we stay in the shadow of it, when we allow the stories of what happened to me to be the main background of our lives, it can be exhausting and draining, and it might feel like there's no end in sight. It's like this perpetual reactivation of the pain. And when we allow ourselves to really step out of that escaping and into facing and embracing, trauma really does activate within us our innate skills and abilities. And in a lot of cases, it may redirect our entire lives around how we're showing up, who we choose to be, and what we have to offer this larger scale of humanity. And it's really easy for us to get caught in it. I certainly have been caught in it at different stages in my life. And I'll tell a quick story here. I remember after my divorce, I had the pleasure of meeting a woman who was doing energy healing, and it was my first experience of anything like that. And she came to my house, and at the time I had like boxes everywhere. I had not unpacked. I was not dealing with my divorce. I changed jobs and I moved all within a matter of a month. And these are three of the most stressful life events that we go through. There are others, but those are three on the high end of the scale of stress inducing. And so in a lot of ways, I was escaping by immersing myself in work and activities like kickboxing that I really enjoyed doing. So on the surface, it looked like I was handling it really well. I was in counseling, I was working, I was exercising all the time. I wasn't relying on substances to escape, but I was still escaping by avoiding the pain and avoiding allowing myself the comfort of setting up my new home. I was avoiding it because it was painful. And the way I escaped was keeping myself busy all the time. And so, itchy nose. And just remind you, if you're new here, that is my truth signal from my body. When I'm telling the truth, often my nose will get itchy. It's like a pay attention to this, what you just said message. You might have those too. They might be different though. So then this woman who came to my house, she said to me, you need to look in the mirror every day and repeat this message to yourself 10 times. And she had me touch the finger to the center of my palm each time I said the thing, so I could count the 10 times. And it had something to do with loving and respecting myself. And the first time, I wasn't even able to say the word respect. It literally would not come out of my mouth because the sentence started with, I am. That was a huge realization. And then once I was finally able to get myself to say it, I couldn't look myself in the eyes in the mirror. Every time I made eye contact with myself, I would just start crying. Like so much emotion took me over. And after going through that process with her, I realized she had me read Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. This was back in 2012. And so much unraveled for me. I remember going on a trip to Florida that year by myself, and the bathroom at the condo that I was staying at, my dad's place, was almost all mirrors. And I would sing in the bathroom, you are so beautiful to me. And I was able to look at myself and sing the whole song. And remembering how far I had come from just being able to say that I respect myself, that I am worthy of love and respect, and to being able to look myself in the face and say that, and then being able to sing that song. That took a lot of facing and embracing. And until I was willing to do that, none of the pain was able to heal. It was like I literally put the kink in the hose and was like, I'm going to just pause this and carry on with my life. And I can assure you that that was a very ineffective strategy. What I'm grateful for is that people kept showing up in my life who would remind me of how amazing we truly are when we allow ourselves to be fully present in these beautiful bodies that we house. So I'm so grateful that you allowed yourself to watch this video. And if you're still here, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being you. And thanks for being human. It really does take a lot of courage to come on this journey in these bodies with the whole spectrum of experience and all the feelings and everything else that is possible. And if you are interested in connecting with me on a deeper level, I do offer Kundalini yoga classes. They're live virtual classes. I offer personal healing sessions and yoga therapeutic sessions. I have sometimes public yoga nidra offerings that are virtual live classes. And I have these new play shops that are focused on 3 areas. So the first one is on spirituality. The second one is healing. And the third one is communication. And those are offered live virtually on Monday evenings. The classes are 7 p.m. Eastern Time. They're about an hour, but I have a tendency to over deliver because I just love sharing with people who are aligned with what we're coming together to experience. And so if any of these things interest you, I will love if you will send me an email. I'll add you to the mailing list. And if you have specific questions about any of those offerings, please let me know and I will be happy to share more information with you. If you enjoy the content that is on this channel, I would love to have you join the community by subscribing. And if you received something beneficial from this video today, my heart will be so grateful if you will choose to click that like button and maybe even share it with someone that you care about. And I hope you come back to join us for another video. So much love. Mwah.